jokes. We'll see if you guys think they're funny. Are you ready, Aspen? You ready for some jokes? Are you gonna laugh even if they're not funny? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's see what jokes I found. Let's see. Okay, this one could have been from some of our other classes, but I'm gonna use it today. Ready? What did the little corn say to the mama corn?
What?
What did the little corn say to the mama corn? Anybody know? You can unmute yourselves, guys, if you know. No, nobody knows? Where is popcorn? That's a pretty good one, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Can I tell
okay.
you my favorite joke from when
Oh,
I was
yes, please, go.
What does a dog say when he sits on sandpaper?
What does a dog say when he sits on sandpaper? Oh, no. I don't know. No. That's pretty good, too. I like that one.
Along the same vein there, yeah.
Yeah. These kid jokes are always great.
Yeah.
What animal is always at a baseball game? What animal is always at a baseball game? Anybody know?
Yeti.
What is it?
Yeti. Her cat. She's saying her cat.
Oh, the cat. I mean, maybe if you took your cat to the baseball game, that would be a good option. Max, do you know what animal is always at a baseball game?
Hold up. I might know.
Think about it.
I don't know what.
Oh, I heard Levi and Pearl's mom say it. Yeah, a bat. A bat is always at a baseball game. Right? Do you get that one, Aspen?
No.
You don't get it. You know, like when you play baseball, there's a bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's also the animal that flies like a bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're saying there's always a bat at a baseball game. Not funny? Not funny. All right, Aspen didn't think that one was funny. All right, how about one more, and then we'll hand it over to Miss Katie. Where do sheep go on summer vacation? Where do sheep
Go on summer
on
vacation?
summer vacation?
High pastures.
I don't know.
No? How about the Bahamas?
What was it?
The Bahamas.
The Bahamas. We're a good audience for your jokes.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
I
Well,
don't know.
we have kind of a small group. We may still get a couple more kids to join in, but if you guys just start a little bit slow, we'll let everybody keep joining in. But guys, today we have Miss Katie. Miss Katie, want to raise your hand? And, oh, I already forgot your friend's name. Carmen, I'm sorry. And Miss Carmen from Mountain Kids. And they're here. We're going to talk about our 5 senses. And they're going to teach us a little bit about sit spots. So I'm going to hand it over to them. I'll make you guys co-hosts, but don't worry, I can take care of muting, unmuting, all that kind of stuff.
Wonderful.
And if you need me, you just let me know.
Super. So
Okay.
we're going to go ahead and sing a song to start. So if we could mute everybody just so that the song carries across distance.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I
then
will
we'll
do that
unmute
right
you all.
now.
Okay.
It's a beautiful day. It's a Mountain Kids Day. We're going to play outside today. Rocks and sticks, wildflowers too. Insects and butterflies, so much to do. So much to do. We're going to learn outside today. today. It's a beautiful day. It's a Mountain Kids Day. We're going to play outside today. Bats and birds, predators and prey, big cats and bears, oh my! It's Adventure Day. It's Adventure Day. We're going to learn outside today. Today. All right, so we like to start with a little song and then a little bit of movement. So we have another song for you. And for this song, it's called My Roots Go Down to the Earth. And for this song, we want you to think of an animal and its action. So for example, I might think of an eagle and its action is flying, right? Or soaring in the sky. So we'll start singing and then you'll get the hang of it. But what I want you to do is put your finger on your nose when you've thought of an animal. So think of an animal and its action, and when you're ready, put your finger on your nose.
And then as we go along, we're going to call out your name and ask you to tell us your animals. We'll have to unmute you.
Yeah, so Sarah, you could unmute everybody now.
And we'll tell you, you can tell us what your animal is and what their action is, what they do. So we'll start with an animal each, and then we'll pass it over to you and call your name.
And if you have space to move around where you are, we're gonna be standing up and move. Stand up and move, because we're gonna do these actions. So that would be awesome. If there's any way you can find a little space to do some actions. Gosh, it's getting warm all of a sudden. So cold today.
I see everybody sitting down still. Come on, Aspen.
So if you have space,
Come on, Benjamin,
like arm space,
Amy, Abby, and Layla. Let's go. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna stand up too.
I'm gonna get a little space. Woo, I'll practice my eagle soaring while you're getting your space.
Oh, very good, Benjamin. I see you now. Got the whole space.
All right, awesome. See
there we
lots of
go.
people ready to move. Okay, so it goes like this. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. I am an eagle soaring in the sky. I am an eagle soaring in the sky. I am an eagle soaring in the sky. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down.
I am a fox lurking by.
I am a fox lurking by. I am a fox lurking by. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. Aspen, I see you have your nose. What's your animal and your action?
Whale.
A whale. Okay, what's a whale's action?
Swimming.
Swimming in the ocean? Okay,
Yes.
awesome. I am a whale swimming in the ocean.
Yeah, whale.
The ocean. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. So is it Levi? I see your finger. What's your animal and your action?
Me?
What is it?
Cat.
A cat? Okay, what's the cat's action? What is it?
Playing.
Playing?
Yeah, playing.
Awesome. I am a cat playing.
I'm with the cat, guys.
Playing. I am a cat playing. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. Go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. Who else? I see Benjamin. Looks like you're ready.
Oh, Benjamin, you're muted. Hold on, bud. Benjamin, can you unmute yourself? Do you know how, bud?
There you go.
A cheetah
Okay, awesome. What's the cheetah's action we're gonna do?
running.
Running. They run really fast, don't they? Awesome. I am a cheetah running by. I am a cheetah running by. I am a cheetah running by. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth.
Oh no, they froze.
Oh no.
Oh no!
What shall we do?
Who is going next? Let's see. How about James?
A pair of falcons
Okay, and what's their action?
diving.
Diving. Okay, I don't know this song as well as them because this is new to me too, but let's sing it. Who can sing it with me?
Ready. Come on, James, Abby, finger on your nose.
Did they come back?
Uh-oh.
Oh, there we go. Miss Katie came back. Turn.
So sorry. Okay, let's try this again.
No, it's
So-
okay. So
Was it Lily or Abba?
we chose James.
James. Okay.
James said a falcon, and the action is diving.
Wow. Awesome.
Oh no.
And a falcon.
Oh, we're gonna do some diving. Come on, James, you gotta dive. There we go.
Go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. Okay, who's ready now? Abby or Layla? Who's in James's household? I see another.
Is that you, Abby?
I'm Abby. She's
Abby.
Layla.
Awesome. What's your animal and your action?
I'm a dolphin.
A dolphin? Okay. And what's the action for your dolphin?
A dolphin.
A falcon?
They kind of goes up and down into the water.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. A dolphin going up and down in the water. Awesome.
They kind of like dive up and then dive down.
Hold up and dive down.
Okay, let's do some up and down diving. Ready? I am a dolphin diving up and down. I am a dolphin diving up and down. I am a dolphin diving up and down. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down. Who hasn't had a chance? Who wants to do one? Anyone, Max? Great. What do you have, Max?
A greenback swallowtail.
Ooh, awesome. And what is the action?
Flying, I guess.
Flying? Okay. I am a greenback swallowtail flying. I am a greenback swallowtail flying. I am a greenback swallowtail flying. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. Go down, my roots go down. Anyone else?
Same ring to it. That's it.
Oh, is that Pearl or Levi? Yeah.
A reindeer. How do the reindeers go, Pearl? You do your antlers? Do your antlers.
Antlers. Awesome. Let's be reindeer. I am a reindeer walking.
The reindeer.
Go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. Anyone else who wants to? Sammy. Go ahead, Sammy.
Sammy, you have to unmute yourself. There you go. Oh, there you go.
There you go. What's your animal, Sammy? And your action.
Yummy. Yummy.
Oh, Sammy, we can't hear you.
Oh, Sammy, you're muted again, sweetie. Here we go. What is it? What's your animal? Can you hear that, Sarah? I can't hear it.
One more time, Sammy. Tell me one more time.
One more time. Say it really loud.
A pony prancing.
Oh,
Dancing? I love it.
yes.
I am a pony dancing. I am a pony dancing. I am a pony dancing. My roots go down. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down, down to the earth. My roots go down.
I think that's it.
I have one final one I like to finish with because I like to do a good coyote howl. So let's be coyotes howling. Ready?
Come on, Aspen. You can howl. Come on, Benjamin.
Dead pony.
My roots go down. My roots go down. Thank you for all your participation.
We have a tons of bunny jokes in our garden.
You have a lot of funny jokes? Is that what you said?
No, we have a lot of bunny guts in our garden.
We have a lot of
Bunny
coyotes.
guts. Oh my gosh. Who do you think ate the bunny? Who's eating the bunnies?
Oh,
Right, yeah. Keeping that bunny population in check. Nice. All right. Well, thank you all.
And a spider.
So Carmen is going to talk to you.
You, everybody.
Yeah, go ahead. That'd be great. Carmen's going to talk to you. Tell you a little bit about that.
I'm not sure if you've ever heard what a sit slut is. It's something really simple. And I'm going to tell you about some friends of mine, and they have strange names. Lived in the woods for years and years and years. But before they went to live in the woods, they had lived in a city all their life, and they didn't know much about anything in the woods. They just knew they wanted to go live there. And their names were Running Deer and Moonbird. I think they had other names before those, but when they went to live in the woods, they wanted to sound like woodland creatures. So Running Deer and Moonbird went to live in the woods, and there was a cabin in the woods. And as they were living there, they realized, things just kept happening. Things like pine cones would fall on their heads when they were having a picnic under a tree, or they would slip on a rock in the water as they were crossing the river. All sorts of things happened to them. And they started to realize how uncomfortable it was to live in the woods and how little they knew about the woods. I guess all of you know a lot about the woods. I'm imagining you have lots of creatures around you, and you know so many different birds and trees, but Running Deer and Moonbird really didn't know anything. So one day, after yet another pine cone had fallen on Moonbird's head, he said to Running Deer, his friend, I think we need to move back to this city. We don't know enough about the woods, and we're not learning very much by being here, and we're just kind of like hurting ourselves, and we can't even figure out the plants to eat and where to build shelters and all of those things. And just at that moment, actually, a deer came on by. And this deer stopped in the meadow and looked at them. And they looked at this deer. And as they were looking at this deer, they realized, we haven't really stopped and just watched and listened and learned from the forest that way. And then the deer turned and went away. Sounds a little like a horse, but it's supposed to be a deer.
Yeah.
The deer went into the woods. And at that moment, Moonbird and Running Deer realized that the whole of the woodland area is their teacher. And that all they need to do, like when you have a teacher, you sit and you listen and you watch, and that's how you learn. So from that moment on, they did something called going to a sit spot. And Moonbird and Running Deer figured out what they would do. So Moonbird went and sat on a rock in the middle of the river, and he sat there. He sat there and he let the river teach him so many things, like who lives in the river, which way the river goes, all the plants that grow near the river, the birds who love to come to the river, the deer tracks. And Running Deer went and sat under a beautiful big tree a little bit further away from the cabin, and she learned about the birds and the butterflies and the wildflowers. So Moonbird and Running Deer sat in their sit spots every day, every morning and every night for days and weeks and months, and eventually for years about the woods that we would never know because they've been sitting in their sit spots for so long. So the basic art of a sit spot is sitting and learning from the forest. And that's what we're going to teach you today, and how to learn in a way that will give you the ability to understand what's going on around you a little bit more. So I'm going to pass it over to Katie.
All right. So I have to say, when I first heard about sit spots, I was a little skeptical. Levi, are you trying to say something that you can't say because you're muted? Do you want to say something to us? What do you have to say? I think you're unmuted now.
Your words, but we can't hear you.
Oh, one more time. What did you say, Levi?
Can't hear you.
Levi, we can't hear you, bud. You have something to say, say it.
I was being silent. I was acting like you couldn't hear me.
Oh, you were doing silent, like yelling. That's funny. Aspen, looks like you have something to say.
And when I was muted.
Oh, you're silly, Levi.
That's funny, Levi.
I have a big pile of rocks that I like to sit on.
Oh, nice. That's
And it's
awesome.
it's nice and hot over there.
Ooh, lovely. That would be really nice on a day like today. Have any of you ever done a sit spot before? Raise your hand if you have. If you've heard of a sit spot or you've done one. Yeah, it looks like a few of you have, so that's wonderful. So when I first heard about sit spots, I have to say I was kind of skeptical, which means I was like, I'm not so sure about this. This sounds a little bit strange, because I heard from my Nature Connection mentors, they had seen amazing things in their sit spots. And I thought, well, that'll never happen to me. I won't see amazing things. But, 5 years later, since I've started doing a sit spot, I have seen a lot of amazing things. I have actually spent some time nodding with a deer. A deer was at the bottom of the hill from my sit spot, and it nodded at me. And so I nodded back, and we nodded back and forth for about 5 or 10 minutes. So if you ever see a deer and you're not wanting to hunt it, which you might be, you could try nodding with it and see if it responds. I've seen a great horned owl. I've seen a spider building its web. That's pretty fascinating to watch if you ever get that opportunity to watch a spider building a web. I'm sure some of you have seen ants too, carrying like large other insects or leaves or things to their home. So it's a really fun way to get to see wildlife. I've seen a fox and I've seen coyotes and lots of animals in my sit spot. So, oh, and actually one time I actually saw a bear. I was walking back home from my sit spot because my sit spot's about a 10-minute walk from my house up in Arroyo. And luckily I had my dog with me. My dog started barking, "Bark, bark, 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 bark," really crazy. And that almost never happens. And so I knew something was up. And I walked a little further and there was a big bear. Actually, it was kind of a small bear by bear standards, but it's pretty big for us, right? There was a bear kind of pressed up against somebody's fence and he was scared because my dog was barking at him. So you want to be safe. If you're going to do a sit spot, you want to let your parents know where it is and make sure it's close to your house. And they know where you're going when you go to your sit spot. But it's really a fun chance to see some neat things. And it looks like, is that Layla raising your hand? Do you have something to share?
Abby.
Oh, it's Abby. Okay. What do you want to share, Abby?
Once, once in our garden, my mom saw a baby grasshopper, and I pulled it and it went like this and it stayed in my hand and then it hopped out.
Oh, so cool. That's fun. Nice. Thanks for sharing that. Do you have something to share too, Sammy? Go ahead. Oh, you need to unmute yourself first though, sweetie.
I got her in
There you
me.
go. Okay.
There's this hummingbird that always comes by our house and we call it Leah.
Do you have a feeder up for it?
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, well, it's really easy to make some sugar water. Just some warm water and a little bit of sugar. And they love, love, love that. They love the red, right? Color red. So even if you have some red flowers or something red outside your house, the hummingbird will probably come by and think it's a flower. And it's fun to see them flying around, isn't it? So I want to share with you one of the things you can do to practice with your senses. So the first thing we're going to do is called owl eyes. And owls have a really great sight, don't they? Because they fly and hunt at night. And so I don't know if you know this, I just learned this myself, but owls don't have eyeballs like we do. Their eyes aren't round. They're more like tubes. They're like long tubes that go back into their head and they don't move around. That's why their heads, we all know, right, that owls can turn their heads not all the way around, but they can turn them 270 degrees. So all the way is 360. So 270 is pretty far. So owls, because their eyes are these long tubes, they have a lot of receptors in there, and so they can see really well at night. So we're gonna practice something, and if you have space again to stand up, it's nice to be able to stand up and do this. So, and I'll show it to you, and if you don't have space, you can do it later. But if you put your fingers in front of you, so just take your two fingers, you can do this sitting too. And what we're gonna practice here is called peripheral vision. So it's how far we can see on either side of us. So we're going to start with our fingers here.
Stretch your arms all the way out first. So
All the way
first
out
you want
in
to
front of
stretch
you.
your arms out and then put your fingers up. That's it.
And look straight ahead, okay? So just keep looking straight ahead as you move your fingers away to this side. And keep looking straight ahead, and you can wiggle your fingers a little bit and see how far you can get on either side and still see your fingers. So I can still see mine, and even though I'm looking straight ahead. So this is called owl's eyes, and this helps us practice getting more sight, because you know what happens for an owl or any creature if they're hunting, or a human if you're hunting, if you turn your head really quickly, if you hear a sound and you turn your head really quickly, that owl or that deer or whatever animal you see is going to get scared and run off, right? But if you practice your owl eyes and you can use your peripheral vision, then you can just look without turning your head and without scaring that animal away. So, did everyone practice that? Did you give it a try? Awesome. Great. Thank you. All right, Carmen's going to share our next sense with us.
Aspen, did you want to say something, my friend?
Yeah, I can turn my head almost all the way around.
Can I see you try? Whoops. Whoa, that's a long way.
Nice. You might be part owl.
I think you do have some owl in you.
I've been practicing that a lot.
Oh my goodness.
That's good to stretch your neck.
It's a great stretch. You can do it one way and then practice getting your head around as far as you can the other way and see if you can almost do it like an owl. You'll all become owls by the end of our time today. So the next animal, my friends, is an animal I think probably all of you know a lot about. And we're going to, so first of all, we're practicing our sight, right? That's one of our first senses. We see. And then our next sense is, let's see if you can guess who this would be. If I put my ears up like this.
Deer.
Deer. And do you see what my hands are doing? Just like we were talking about, owls can move their eyes and their, well, actually their heads quite a far way around in a circle. Deer, have you watched them move their ears? Ooh, they can move their ears a long way around like that. So we're going to practice our deer ears. And what we'll do is I want you to put your hands, cup your hands behind your ears and say a really silly sentence to yourself, like my nose is red and I jump up and down like a jelly bean or something. I don't know, anything, but cup your ears and say something really funny to yourself and see if you can hear yourself say it. Can I see your mouths moving? Say something to yourself and see if you can hear it really well with your ears like this.
La 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 la.
La 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 la. You can just say la 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 la. Okay, take your hands away. Now say the same thing to yourself. Do you hear it as well as you did when you were cupping your ears? Now I want you to cup your ears this way. So cup them backwards and say a silly sentence to yourself or funny words.
My dog has fleas.
Did you hear yourself very well that way? What I find is if I cup my really well. If I cut my ears backwards, I can't hear the voice in front of me, but maybe I can hear something behind me really well. I can hear the wind really well. So we can, when we are out in the woods or outside or even inside to hear things better, you can move your ears like a deer. You can go up. If you hear a bird above you, you could go down, pull your ears down a little bit. You could pull them forwards. You could put them backwards, just like the deer, but the deer has their ears up here, right? Well, we can use our hands to move our ears like a deer. So what I want you to do for just 1 minute, we're going to have a moment of quiet, and then we're going to use our deer ears. And we're going to try and listen to as many different sounds as we can around us. And then we'll have a quick sharing to see what you've heard. Okay, we're gonna have a quiet minute with our deer ears starting now. All right, friends. So with my dear ears, I heard some funny sounds coming from the computer, and then I heard the wind and some paper flapping. What did you all hear? You'll have to unmute yourselves if you want to. Aspen.
Go ahead, Aspen.
I heard the wind and cars.
And cars too? Okay. Levi, did you want to share?
Yeah, I heard the funny sounds from the computer and my mom and sister talking, and I also heard the wind in my over here since my fan's on.
Oh, gotcha. You heard the wind from the fan? Very fun. Anybody else? Yeah, Sammy, what did you hear? Oops, we'll have to unmute you, sweetheart. Yeah.
There you go, Sam. You're unmuted.
I heard the leaves rustling in the wind.
Beautiful. That's a really simple sound. Anybody else want to share what they heard? Yeah.
Layla.
Is that you, Abby?
I think that's Layla.
Layla.
I heard our washing machine and our refrigerator.
Uh-huh. So those sounds inside your house, that's really cool to listen carefully to those.
Benjamin, do you want to share anything, bud? Did you hear anything? Oh, unmute yourself, but oh, there you go. Now you're unmuted. Go ahead.
I heard just one thing, but it was weird sounds coming from the computer.
I think that was Max. I can't see Max's face right now, but I bet you that was Max.
Do we have a trickster coyote in our midst?
We do.
Ah, gotcha. I see our trickster.
I'm innocent.
Am I right? Was it you?
Yeah, I guess.
It was very funny, actually.
It was very good timing, Max.
Yeah. All right. I think many of us have shared. So we've done our owl eyes for how far can we see to the side, our peripheral vision. We've figured out how to really extend our hearing, right? So our hands are hearing extenders. So we make our ears as big as a deer, and we can move our ears and our hearing like a deer. So now Katie is going to tell you about the next sense.
I'm going to stop you really quick because it looks like Aspen has one more question.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I see that.
Oh, I have something to tell you in our garden. Our garden has mice in it,
Oh, no.
and it's eating the garden. So we're making some mesh protection.
That's-
Nice.
You've been working really hard on that garden. I hear about it every week, so I'm glad that you're protecting it.
That's great. You know who our best mice protectors are? We bought some traps and they didn't work. But now we have a family of screech owls that are living in our yard. And so we go out every night and it's pretty darn neat. These screech owls, we just sit and look at each other. And sometimes we see them with a mouse hanging out of their mouth. But they're really helping us out with our mouse problem. So you can actually look up, on a phone or computer, the sound of a screech owl, and they'll come to that sound. So when we play the screech owl sound, they all come close and they all fly in the trees around us. There's like 6 or 8 of them that come. There's a mama and a daddy and a couple baby and like a bunch of babies. So anyway, you might go out at night and see if there's any screech owls who can help you out. So the next sense we're gonna do.
Like a mom and a dad, and then like 6 babies.
That's right. Yep. A whole bunch of babies. And they don't seem to be afraid of people. They just sit and look at us and we sit and look at them. I could bring up a picture later if we have time and show you a picture. So our next sense is our nose. And do you know who has one of the best sense of smell in the animal family? Can anyone guess? It might be an animal that lives with you. Levi and Pearl, I see you raising hands.
It's a dog. It's a dog.
Dog, I hear you all saying dog, yes. So dog nose. Do you know that dogs, so we have 6 million scent receptors in our nose. which sounds like a lot, right? I mean, that's a lot of scent receptors. Dogs have 300 million. So their sense of smell is, I don't even know how much better, a lot better than ours. So when I first got our dog, it was in the winter time, and there was about a foot of snow on the ground, and I took her out for a walk, digging, and then dug down all the way down into the dirt, and she came up from that with a bone. And I couldn't believe it, that she had found this bone under a foot of snow, under the dirt, that she dug it up. But that's how good dogs' sense of smell is. So let's just sit for a moment and see what we can smell right now in our homes or wherever we are right now. So it won't take a full minute, but just practice smelling, because it's not something we think about too often. And I find it helps me to close my eyes to activate some of my other senses sometimes, because our eyes are, one of our most primary senses that we use. So who can share what kinds of smells do you smell around you right now? Anything? Levi? What is it?
Coffee.
Coffee. Ooh, I love the smell of coffee. I think it smells even better than it tastes, actually.
That's a good one, Levi.
Yeah.
Good one.
Aspen.
I smell the ants.
You smelled ants? Wow, that's great. I don't think I've ever
From like
smelled.
a far distance.
What does it smell like?
Smells disgusting.
Smells disgusting.
I've heard that there are some people, just a few people, who have a very special sense to be able to smell ants. And there's a friend of mine who can smell ants from a long way away, and she will turn in the opposite direction. She knows where the ants are, but I cannot smell them, Aspen. I can see them. I could probably taste them if I ate one, but I don't want to. And I can feel them on my skin, but I cannot smell them. As hard as I try to smell them, I can't smell them. So that's really special.
It really is. Thanks, Aspen.
Thanks for sharing, Aspen.
Abby, Layla, yeah. Oh, we need you unmuted, just a moment.
I think you guys have to unmute yourselves.
There you go. Yeah.
Coffee.
Coffee.
Apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar.
What was that?
Apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yeah, that's a pungent smell.
Yes.
Strong smell. Nice.
Benjamin, did you smell anything?
Food.
Food.
What kind of food?
I don't know.
Was it a warm smell or a spicy smell?
I don't know.
You know, one way you could practice your sense of smell is by opening up the spice jars in your kitchen and smelling them. And you can really get the sense of different spices and herbs and how they make your food taste.
And if you really want to sneeze, you could smell the black pepper.
Max, did you smell anything? Anything you want to share? There you go. No, you smelled nothing.
Ever smelled a ponderosa pine? Raise your hand if you smelled a ponderosa pine. Sarah has. Sarah, what does it smell like?
It smells fresh to me, and it smells clean. I love to smell ponderosa pine because it reminds me of when I was a little kid. So
yeah. Nice. To me, it smells like vanilla. It's really yummy. Yeah, so next time you see a ponderosa, these are ponderosas right here in our yard. They're kind of hard to see, but they're the ones with the long needles. They're about 5 or 6 inches long, and sometimes they get really big and sort of reddish and brown bark, and they smell really good, especially when they've been in the sun for a while. So if you see one with sun on it, go and give it a good hug and a good sniff. And you won't need dessert after that, or at least it'll tide you over till dessert time. Okay, Carmen, do you want to do our next sense?
Okay, so we worked with owl eyes, deer ears, dog nose, and now we're going to work with touch. And there's an animal who also has 4 fingers and opposable thumbs, who sometimes gets into people's chicken yards and maybe eats a chicken, and sometimes gets into your trash cans. Levi, who is it?
I guess cats, but also raccoons.
Raccoons! It's those raccoons. They're so sneaky. Did you know they have thumbs? They have thumbs just like us. They could even undo the lid of your jam jar. That's how good they are at getting into our food and our things.
We had raccoons in our attic.
Oh,
Uh-oh. Yeah, it looks like Miss Carmen and Miss Katie froze for a second. Who else has seen a raccoon?
no. Say, welcome, raccoons. You can live here. Uh-oh, we froze.
You're good. You're back.
Are we back?
Are we back? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, funny. I guess we're out in the woods a little bit, so we don't always get good reception. So, Levi, what did you do with the raccoons in your attic? Where did they go?
Do you remember?
We put a one-way door, and then they went out, and then we closed the one-way door, and then we took it off.
Good idea.
Huh?
Yeah, we had to clean up after them.
Yeah,
and we had a dead mouse in one of our bug traps, and now we have a cat.
thank goodness. Those cats and those owls are so good at mousing.
We have a cat. We have a cat that eats moths.
Ooh, that's good news this year, I suppose. There have been so many moths. So coming back to our raccoons with their thumbs, we're going to spend a moment, maybe just half a minute, feeling things that are around us, but not just with our hands. So this sense is about touch. We have this thing called skin all over us. And sometimes we have little patches where we have hair on our skin. And even our hair can feel things. And sometimes our hair stands up on end, right? Especially when we're cold or when we get like a little fright, maybe. Our hair goes thump, like that. So let's spend a moment, you can feel what's around you with your hands, but maybe let your bottom feel where you're sitting, let your arms feel what's around it. So and just feeling where we are, and even feeling what's inside you. Like, do you have a feeling inside your body? Or are you just feeling what's outside your body right now? Okay, let's do that for a moment, and then I'll call y'all back. Okay, ooh, I took my shoes off. I could feel some pine needles and earth under my feet. And under my bottom is a really soft cushion. Felt super soft. Lovely. And I could feel wind on my skin. What did you all feel? Did anybody feel anything in particular? Yeah, Benjamin.
A couch. I felt bumps on the couch.
Bumps on the couch?
Nice, like the texture of the fabric.
Chair. I felt a beanbag chair where I'm sitting because I'm sitting on a beanbag chair and I just feel air.
Uh-huh. That's a fun feeling. Was Layla wanting to say something? I saw you for a moment.
Our couch.
A couch. What does the couch feel like?
Soft but firm at the
Soft.
same time.
Okay. Yeah. Max, do you have anything to say? Anything to share? I don't see you.
No?
Maybe Aspen.
Aspen, you got anything? I see something in your hands, some things.
Go ahead, Aspen.
Pencils, and I felt the chair, and I felt my arms on the back of my chair. What did you feel, Sarah?
What did I feel? Well, my dog jumped up into my lap, and so I feel my dog and his soft fur, and I'm sitting on a very hard chair, so I can feel it on my bum. Kind of hurts a little bit. At some point I had a piece of hair fall on my face, so I felt my hair on my face right here. It was kind of tickling my face.
The dog was just putting its nose on you.
I know, he's such a funny little dog.
I guess he's sniffing you, knowing you by his nose. What did you feel?
I felt this cone, this ponderosa pine cone, and it was a bit pokey. Kind of pokey. There's little pokies on it.
So friends, these things that we're teaching you, owl eyes, deer ears, dog nose, and raccoon touch, are things you can do when you're sitting quietly in your sit spot to get to know the area and what's going on around you really well. This is how you kind of learn about your environment, right? And some of you maybe have watched birds really quietly, or maybe you've gone hunting and you have to get really still for a long, long time sometimes. There's another thing we can teach you to help you get closer to wildlife by using your peripheral vision, your dog nose, your deer ears, and your raccoon touch, but it's actually raccoon touch with your feet. It's called fox foot.
What?
So we're gonna do fox walk. Oh, I like that foot, Levi. So I have been walking in the woods and hiking and going. And then I have suddenly slowed down and walked really softly with my feet, putting the outside of my feet, like the tip of my toes down first, and the outside of my feet down. And I've started to walk really slowly, and I've seen deer up close. I've seen bobcat up close. And I've seen birds and squirrels, Abert squirrels up close. So I've been able to get pretty close to wildlife by walking with a fox walk. So it's a slow, quiet walk. And what we do is we get really good balance and we put our toes down and feel what's underneath our toes first. And if we think it's going to be a crunchy thing, then we move our toes over so they're not going to press down on crunchy leaves or branches. And then you can choose really carefully where to put your foot. Put it down from the top of your foot and the side of your foot toward the back. Really slowly. And this way, you can get very close to animals. But you know who else you can get really close to? Is your brothers and sisters and your parents. You can sneak up on them. You can see if you can touch them before they know you're behind them. Kind of have to have a very quiet breath, but it's a really good way to give your friends a little bit of a fright too. And you can practice this with your family members. And then the more you get used to it, the more you can do it out in the wild and get really close to birds, really close to deer, maybe some other creatures too. Hopefully not too close that you would be in a difficult situation. Like we would never want to do that with a bear or a mountain lion. But bobcat's a scaredy cat, so it's okay to get a little close to bobcat, and bobcat won't let you touch it, so it will run away first. All right, so while you are out in the woods doing fox walk and using your peripheral vision and your deer ears and your dog nose and your raccoon touch, you might find things. It's like a treasure hunt. And Katie's going to tell you about the treasures that she has found. And we just have a few minutes to talk about those. But Levi, you have something so urgent to say. I see your hand. Yeah. Do you want to tell us what you wanted to? Yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago, I went hunting with my dad and my Uncle Luke. And then we were like hunting near this ginormous iceberg.
An iceberg. Whoa.
Wow.
Was that in Alaska?
No,
In Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. There's this ginormous iceberg in Oklahoma, and me and Dad were in a huge tree, and we saw deer. And it's
Wow.
really weird because I never seen an iceberg in Oklahoma. That was my first time seeing a natural iceberg.
That's really exciting. Did you get to touch
No,
it?
Yes. Very cold.
the actual
So I'm going to hold up.
90% of the iceberg is underwater.
That's right. So I'm going to hold this up. I've been out walking on some animal trails recently. Can anyone tell me who this is from?
That is a deer jaw.
That's a deer jaw. How do you know that, Matt?
Because I've seen them before.
You've seen it before. Awesome. So what do deer like to eat?
Plants.
Plants. How do we know by looking at the teeth here that this is an herbivore? Oh, look, Sarah's got one too. Nice.
They're not pointy. They're more blunt and less jagged.
That's right. So they're a lot flatter for chewing.
And so they're like our back teeth, right? Our molars. And you can see really well on Sarah's as well.
Yeah. So we have one that's also a lot bigger here.
Did you touch your backpack?
So, yeah, so we can tell that's an herbivore. What about this one here? What do you guys think?
That is a coyote jaw.
That's a coyote jaw. So what do coyotes like to eat, Max?
Small rodents.
Okay, so what are the teeth telling us about what he likes to eat?
Go ahead, Levi.
They're sharp. They're
They're-
sharp.
Yeah. So they have these teeth.
They
very-
like to eat meat.
That means a coyote is a carnivore.
It's a carnivore, exactly. This one still has a little bit of hair on its chinny chin. You can see that. And then the last part of this,
Max might know.
Yeah. yeah, we aren't sure. I just found this the other day. And Max, maybe you can tell us.
Max, show your video, bud, because I like to see you work through these processes. Max knows quite a bit about animals.
Awesome.
That might be a deer head. That might be the backbone of a deer, and then the hip.
And a hip, did you think, Max?
Yeah, it might be the backbone of the deer, and then the hip.
I think so too. I've got a feeling that's the back hip
Mm-hmm.
of the back legs. Does it look like it could be to you?
Yeah,
So then this would be the socket over here where the,
probably yes.
that the leg bone goes in.
Uh-huh.
Nice. Yeah. Fun.
So these are some delicious treasures. You can find when you're out in the wild, and probably some of you also have antlers from animals, right? Do you have any antlers in your homes? Katie has part of an antler here. I think it's, did you say
This is elk.
it's been sawn off a little bit to make beads or knives.
We
But
made a knife handle out of those, yeah.
yeah, so having those treasures and walking, what I find is I find them when I'm walking really carefully and slowly, and then my eyes notice things around me. But when I'm hiking, I just have so many things in my head, all these thoughts, and I'm rushing around and not really seeing what's around me. All right.
Antler to show. I can see him holding it. Let's see. Go ahead, ask.
Oh,
My mom, Bar and Rachel found this antler shedding. You see the bottom?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
And
Elk, I think.
you think that's elk? And can I see it a little bit? So it's just one tine, 1 point, right?
Step back just a little bit so we can see it further back. Like step back away from your camera. There we go.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, that looks like somebody else to me as well.
Hmm.
I don't know enough about ibex.
No, I don't think that's big enough for an ibex.
Are ibex really big?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think next time I'm going out on a walk and I see a rabbit, I'll probably sneak up on it and look it behind its back.
With your
Let it-
answer?
Yeah, to see what it looks
Tickle it.
like.
See if he's ticklish.
You know, sometimes I stop for roadkill, and the other day there was a rabbit who was dead on the road, and I thought, I don't want ravens to be run over or coyote to be run over by cars. So I got out and I took a plastic bag from my car and I lifted the rabbit up, and it was long and it had gone really cold. Rigor mortis had set in, so it was very solid, and I picked it up and I moved it. But then I thought, I could have taken that rabbit home and skinned it, and I could have made something with this skin. And the rabbit ears were so beautiful. So sometimes you can find dead animals, and I don't know what your parents like or what you are allowed to do or like to do, but sometimes I skin animals. And right now I've got deer ears at home waiting, and I've salted them. So you can learn all about animal parts by doing things like that with roadkill too. Leva, you had a question, and then you know what, friends? It's time for us to go already, but I want to know so many more things that you all know.
One day my dad is gonna get me a deer brain.
Oh.
What are you going to do with a deer brain?
I don't know, keep it but not open the bag and touch it, because that brain is gonna be really drummy and really have a sickness on it.
Oh, maybe. Sometimes you could freeze them to keep them until you know what to do with them.
That's a good idea.
Aspen, one last thing?
One time we were on a road back to our house, and we saw a dead rabbit and the vulture eating it.
Whoa,
On the
that's so
road.
cool.
On the road.
Good food. I guess I always like to move the roadkill off so we don't have more dead animals on the road. But it's not always possible to stop. And that's really cool, Aspen, to watch.
We stopped and looked at it for more than a moment.
Yay! That's so cool. That's like having a sit spot right there. You're having a watch spot, watching.
It looks like Layla has something
Layla,
really quick too.
We were driving to Kansas. We saw 20 dead raccoons on the side.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of raccoons.
Did you stop at all, or you just drove past them?
We were on the highway, so we didn't stop.
Kind of hard to stop.
Yeah.
You know who? Oh, you can hit. You got that smell sometimes? Sprays. It's the animal who's pretty small, but not too small, who sprays you. And so when you hit a skunk and you're driving along and you have your window down, you kind of go, woo! Skunk! Skunk was hit somewhere around here, and I always go, whoo! Where is skunk? When I smell that smell. It's a strong one. That's another way to use your dog nose. So friends, it's time to say goodbye.
It's been so fun to meet you all. I see some more hands up.
Aspen, do you have one last thing to say, and then we're going to sing a little song?
My dad went hunting, and he hunted a elk.
Wow, they are big.
Aspen, did you guys eat the elk?
No, When it was before I was born,
Oh, it was before you were born. Okay.
like way before.
Oh, long time ago.
Yeah. Even before they got married.
What? Before they got married? Wow.
And we making Lily, our dog, some chew toys.
Oh,
I don't know.
got it. Okay, so it sounds like Miss Katie and Miss Carmen have a song to share with us to leave for the day. So before, if you guys are okay with that, Miss Katie and Miss Carmen, I'm going to unmute everybody and let them thank you. So after your song, we can say farewell and we can. I want everybody, we're going to unmute. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now I'm going to.
Thank you for being such great participants.
It's been such a fun class.
It's been really great.
Okay, so I'm going to mute everybody so that they can sing their songs now.
All right.
All right, go for it.
Let the sun shine down and warm my bones. Let the birds and the bees come and kiss my nose. 'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of wind and rain. I'm wild and I ain't going back again. Oh, let the moon shine down and cleanse my soul. Let the wolves and the owls come and tend my cold. 'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of stars and dreams. I'm wild and I'm part of everything. Oh, let the sun shine down and warm my bones. Let the birds and the bees come and kiss my nose. 'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of wind and rain. I'm wild and I ain't going back again. Oh, let the moon shine down and cleanse my soul. Let the wolves and the owls come and tend my cold. 'Cause I'm a wild one now, made of stars and dreams. I'm wild and I'm part of everything. I'm wild and I'm part of everything.
Bye, friends. Bye.
See you guys next week.
All right. Thank you, Sarah.
Adios.
Thank you, Carmen.
Bye, Max.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Ben.
Bye.
Bye, James, Abby, and Layla. Bye, Levi and Pearl. Bye, Aspen.